Hi, everyone. My name is Padraigin O'Flynn. I am the External Affairs Officer at the RCSLT, so I sit within the Policy and Public Affairs team here in our London office. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about policy and public affairs, why it should matter to you, what our team does, and how you can get involved if you're interested. So first things first, what does the RCSLT PPA team do? We have four main functions. So we influence through governmental, legislative, and public channels to government ministers, civil servants, and leaders across all four nations of the UK to further the needs of speech and language therapists and people with communication and swallowing difficulties. Second, we build relationships with parliamentarians and civil servants and other government officials in all parliaments and assemblies, which enables our involvement in the legislative process. Third, we campaign nationally for better lives for people with communication and swallowing needs. And we do this by focusing on specific issues to raise awareness of speech, language, and communication needs and the role of speech and language therapy. And finally, we support RCSLT members, such as yourselves, to influence locally. We do this by providing resources, supporting your involvement in our campaigns, supporting the organizing that you begin to lead, and helping you contact local councillors, your local MPs, local candidates, in order to further these issues that we're all working towards. So that was a bit theoretical. So kind of what does that mean in practice? I've got some examples actually from this year from each of the four nations. So in our London office, we engaged with parliamentarians during the passage of the domestic abuse, what was then the Domestic Abuse Bill, what is now the Domestic Abuse Act, since it's been passed. And we encourage them to consider the role of speech, language, and communication needs in various areas of domestic abuse. And we have now actually gotten speech, language, and communication needs referenced as a specific intersectionality in the statutory guidance. In Scotland, our team over in Edinburgh got involved in the process to introduce transparent face masks in Scotland. And then we're actually able to advise on the priority guide for Scotland. In Wales, our team over in Cardiff met with multiple members of the Senedd over the year, and two of those members actually agreed to undertake Communication Access UK training, which incidentally has just had its 1-year anniversary. In Northern Ireland, our team over in Belfast met with the Minister for Education and engaged in consultations on the role of speech and language therapy in mental health. And as a result, in the mental health strategy for the next 10 years, communication difficulties were recognized specifically as a risk factor. So these sort of general areas that I was speaking about before actually translate into real things on the ground for practicing SLTs and people with speech, language, and communication needs. I have used the term influencing a lot, though. So what does that mean? Well, it means kind of three main things in our context. Firstly, it means raising awareness of speech and language therapy, its role in different clinical areas and for different people. It means engaging with stakeholders, so budget holders, decision makers, partner organizations, members like yourselves, and service users to make sure that speech and language therapists and people with communication swallowing needs have a seat at these governmental tables, have a seat in making these policy decisions that will affect their lives. And thirdly, it means campaigning on specific issues relevant to people with communication and swallowing needs. So that could be participating in awareness days. It could be speaking about specific clinical areas to government. It covers a wide variety of areas. And don't worry, we've noticed that some of you are already doing that. Students are actually some of our best campaigners. So we've actually got some great examples here. This photo on the left is some students from Reading with our Build Back Better SLT speech bubble, who are supporting our Fund SLT petition and campaign. In the middle, we've got some folks over at Manchester from a few years ago who were supporting the Burke Out of 10 Years On campaign. And on the right, we have the SLT Society at Newcastle, who hosted Lost Voice Guy. And these are just a few examples of the ways that student SLTs have supported our national campaigns and our national influencing work, and have also given voice to people with communication and swallowing needs. Some of you may not have campaigned yet, but hopefully some of the things I've said already have gotten you interested in getting started. And that's really amazing. We'd love to have you involved in our national campaigns, and we'd love to have you working towards some local influencing yourselves. So while you're still a student, you can definitely do that by getting involved with your university's SLT society. While you're a student and beyond, you can get involved with the Giving Voice campaign. So you can follow us at Giving Voice UK on Twitter, or you can check out at this web link. There's some great information on becoming a Giving Voice champion and working on Giving Voice in your local area. And finally, you can also check out our guidance on local influencing and take action by starting to speak to local counselors and local decision makers about the importance of speech and language therapy. And some of you may still not be at all convinced by this presentation, and that is fair enough. Politics and policy are not for everyone, and it's totally justified if this just isn't what you're super into. But it is still really useful for you to know the basic policies and political pressures relevant to speech and language therapy, relevant to your client groups when you're applying and interviewing for jobs. So for example, this is a job specification for a band 5. And you will notice that 2 of the key things it lists in the person spec is knowledge of national policies and procedures relevant to the client group, and awareness of the current political changes and pressures affecting the NHS. So showing knowledge and experience about policy and public affairs can actually be really useful in setting you apart from other candidates, and it can give you great context for issues that may arise in your service moving forward, even if it's not the area you're most passionate about. So hopefully this presentation has convinced you and you're really keen to learn more about policy. You can do that. Probably the best way is just by reading up on our policy and influencing work wherever you're at or wherever you're intending to work. So we have Twitter feeds and policy pages for each of the 4 nations of the UK. Our RCSLT policy account on Twitter does cover England and UK-wide policy, but all of the other ones are nation specific. So you can check those out, follow them for updates. And you can also check out the policy pages to read a bit more in depth and stay up to date on what we're doing. If you're more interested in the national campaigning work, you can follow us at Giving Voice UK on Twitter. And if you're really keen to get involved, you can go ahead and email myself or Peter Just, the head of external affairs, and just let us know that you're interested. So thank you so much. I hope that you are enjoying Student Day so far. My contact info is here. You can totally feel free to shoot me an email at any point if you're keen to get involved in our policy work. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of Student Day.